This is Buadu TV, truth and integrity.
Entire team of Armchair, they believe in what you call propaganda and spinning. They maybe throw at Ghana for say $18 million in Monsaka Mubechi came obi enye biedie.
Buadu TV so ye mamu nyina kwaba. Ye be so first time na subscribe na like video ja comment so atom e de ma yerase. Na de tie ne say Kwaku Annan fire. O say wa wani da anas 18 million choppable US Donald Trump dollars so say ebeba amana satibidi amam da kwe enkrakra eni fufu ana say wo kobo akranten kwan bia wedie ene bonum beto pa isanse enya de scan beba o say de ni bebu abana wo zo to twen sika emma so say wonim say Kwaku Annan so de woni Kennedy even though wanye adwuma ma ne be but wo hwa respect no wo one lawyers di nkomo afata asem no Kennedy ne ye friend saying anasa asem no $80 million o ma say di nkomo o say anasa so de o be expose ni sasa na tricks na o ye ya onu Kwaku Annan to ne trap some years back am ade o be ya anasa no nye hwehwe wonim say ama Suale so pussy for chese o ma chi ni pa o mususi so no kun no ye friend na mache eno so one a lawyer for di hu nkomo nsem bi bobo ba Sembi yesa match no mbisa ze onim Kennedy o se amenim Kennedy asembi boboba ne enkutie eye Kwaku Annan.
The Accra Circuit Court in Medina a week today remanded the gentleman now suspect in the murder case of Ahmed Suale, if you recall. And as it's where this gentleman is still in the custody of the police. What is this guy's crime? The police are saying yes, with all the evidence, decree and evidence they built, he is responsible for the murder of Ahmed Suale. So, a week today, he was sent to the Medina Circuit Court, and of course, we do know that the judge was quite, he was a bit shocked to read the charges level against this guy. But again, the judge was quick also to, put it to the police that this evidence is not too, if you are talking about murder was the case, then you should build a strong evidence that is quite weighty. But to suggest that he sold a picture to Ken Agyapong and he did this and all those blah, blah, blah. No, it's really doesn't support your claims. In other words, this can really support what you call prima facie case. Folks, however, may I say, the judge has to remand this Daniel Owusu Cranton, also known as Amachi, behind bars for some very good reason that it's murder is the issue here. However, that the judge may read all blah blah blah, still the judge would have to exercise discretion and then do things right in that perspective. Now we do know that in the next couple of days, on the 1st of April, Daniel Owusu Cranton would be taken back to court. He will appear before court, and then with the hope and the belief that at that time the Ghana Police Service would have then built enough evidence to, as it were, back their claim that the gentleman is really responsible. Now again, as part of the police charges, the police again also built that yes, there was some correspondence between him and then the late Ahmed Suale. That the last one where they pronounced that yes, he's responsible for the murder was that the very day in question Ahmed was shot and killed. The police says this guy was in the vicinity. He was in the vicinity. And then shortly after, according to the police, he fled. He fled from the area. I don't know whether he was flying or whatever, but what they are saying is that he fled from the area. Folks, can these steps that I've walked you through be enough to suggest or become a build-up weight evidence to say that the gentleman was the one who killed Ahmed? I am not hearing from the police that they've ascertained either the gun, the knife, or whatever, and that the police have done a forensic. I'm a student of security and intelligence. There's so many things I am querying around. The police are not saying this, that they've ascertained the knife or the gun or anything, and their forensics shows that the fingerprints on the gun is AB, XYZ. No. It's all about, there was communication with him, and that the day in question, he was in the vicinity, and shortly after, he fled to his place of abode in Amasaman, and that's it. Tonight, are you aware that Anas Are Emiyaw Anas, the guy in the mask that I don't know, Anas Are Emiyaw Anas in the mask, has taken our Ghana's justice system to the cleaners? Have you heard it? Anas Are Emiyaw Anas, the guy in the mask, has taken Ghana's justice system to the cleaners. If you like, let me put it rather this way. He has used them as a rag to mop the floor. Now he's in America telling the judicial system in the United States that our judges here, our justice system is not doing some fair trial. In other words, they are not being principled. Hey, are you sure? But I'm quite sure, believe that many of you might have heard the former Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuayeboa spoke on his own friend Samson Ladi Ayenene's program over the weekend and condemned Anas very well. The fact that the U.S. justice system cannot, will not, and may not be seen to be better than Ghana. In other words, over there, the jurors, or if you like, let me use the jury so you understand. When they are plenty, you call them jurors. Now, even there in America, the jurors are made to what? Come and adjudicate the cases not based on the law or based on the fact. They come, probably you may say, some of them may use emotions to do that. But here in Ghana, our justice system, as far as the jury are concerned, it is by law and by what? By all the standards, you know. So, we are not joking, no. But this is what Anas is out there doing, throwing dust onto our justice system. But I believe that the Ghana General Legal Council have heard all the things Anas Are Emiyaw Anas is out there saying. Folks, the third one on the bill is that the Frontline has secured, or if you like, we've intercepted an audio recording. And do you know what is in audio recording? The case in the United States, they are in through here too. But Anas Are Emiyaw Anas, together with his defense counsel, came and lied to everybody that, hey, he has secured $18 million and that they are okay. Hey, now, guess what? Anas Are Emiyaw Anas in the max have already put some video recording out there suggesting that the juries have given their ruling, and against the backdrop of the ruling, the case is finished. Only for us to know that shortly after that, the judge put the ruling of the juries, Ken Agyapong's defense counsel told the judge that, hey, my lord, judge, you cannot do this. Why the judge cannot do that? Because the jurors committed some blunt mistakes. And those mistakes they committed obviously means that they have to go back and look at it all, because in their settings, as far as the jurors are concerned, it could be that the jurors' mistakes they committed could influence the entire judgment they brought. Therefore, and that is why such words like mistrial is all in the midst. And in that discussion, Anas Are Emiyaw Anas, lawyer, told the judge that, for this mistake is curable. And Ken Agyapong lawyer said, no, it's not curable. We have to go back again. And all this back and forth, it was a heated argument until the judge said, okay, we agree, we have to go back again. But Anas has already come out, spin their propaganda and make it look as though he has secured 80 million judgment. And the question, Ghanaians, some of you out there have not asked Anas Are Emiyaw Anas, including his own friend Samson Ladi Ayenene, over the weekend, could not tender a written judgment to Ghanaians that in all of this that you say you've secured 18 million, where is the judge? Where is your written judgment? No, where is it? Folks, I've always told Ghanaians, do not be deceived and be carried away. But I have given my promise that until I leave, these guys are Emiyaw and his crews and his surrogate will be fashion. Tonight, We are going to play this audio to you for you to hear what went on in the court. But may I also break the news to you that Ken Agyapong's defense counsels have also mounted a spirited defense. Apart from the fact that the judge has said this matter must be looked again, the defense counsels have also mounted another spirited, motion to all sorts of. It's not going to be a, Anas. So those of you out there who think Armchair Anas was going to secure 18 million and come and dash you some, or he was going to prepare some tuizafi and all of that and come and bring you some to chop, I'm sorry. Please, you're going to laugh at the wrong side of your mouth. Now, the last on the bill, folks, tonight, I have in the studio the lawyers of Daniel Owusu Cranton, also known as Amache. Their lawyers are in the studio, and I'm going to have exclusive one-on-one with them. Why their client is still in incarceration. Folks, all this and more coming. Folks, let's get started. And I do a higher shit. I grow the any hakrao. Tell say, and I dream some ye be the home common bear me and send ye bet ye need now so come fast at the amount. And they said, ye be kind. Abrantia Yaboni Dean. Yes, so no, and are responsible for Ahmed Suale anyway, Daniel Owusu Cranton, also known as Amachi, or Shems is here a week near ne, and you didn't call court. And a judge in a share ruling or share fencing or share kind of simple or share charges, not charges, and just oh, who do on your but as long as I acquire to say, oh, and a was seminum, the judge exercise discretion, see, and Vibrant and courtroom, near Fanimra on the 1st of April, which is just a couple of days to come. Afi Anas are Emi Yawanas a mask shining him. At the Ghana, our justice system, no. Or do we to form iron passer can somewhere and says or conform. Then we name say what? They be bena be na mont nothing shady being who said no, ora. I didn't know where I then Aremi a bit in your court American memu. Ekogu judges in anymore say all because there was a judge here. I a friend of Justice Ban and Aremi out Eddie Ken Agyapong court or really sa cases some obianim. Justice Ban say in his judgment, which there are copies all out there, it said, Anas Aremi you Anas, or you then, or you extortionist, or you blackmailer, and then I think also then, or you terrorist. So I word need the baby was said I'm born. It be born a terrorist, it be born a terrorist, terror and arrest. Nyamena me kai o judge ne ka oni ruling him. No. Anas Aremi Anas and to me Ghana court anko defend no hom anko ye say oba abede ebesiki what's the word crampo say or I don't know which word no wa behwem as asem no say bia oba court for review and abibisa no and they say onya chance o di copy America because Kennedy koye interview bi o nti of say obetimi dia call eruanom me ni free yi maintain say a politician, a businessman, a journalist, or software, whoever, you really assembly to no suma judge him. Even though me I admit that, so Justice Ban ruling for me, I think I mean, not to impugn any negative, but it was very harsh. Harsh and so Justice Ban one so would the assembly now so or shem na that no so pepe and would the assembly. But the question is here, Bisan is here. Anas Aremi Anas no did or no the assembly call say you couldn't hoof him. A dear based circumstantial evidence ben or the court to my judge and say obi agun hoof into therefore ye ni assembly man. And no see key. On one videos we cry Bisan so on femla on for region with me afamba. Folks, but shen semwa wabeka a fear or the begu ye justice system no ehun. Emma me ken Ghana's former Attorney General, Alfred Tua Yeboah, were responding to some of them very serious. Memwati and a dream. A biom ye train Ghana General Legal Counsel for Minimsa Mate. As to say you keep quiet over this or you react, we are waiting. A biom as someone that punusu biom ni saying. As someone that New Jersey court between Anas Aremi and Ken Agyapong. I mean breaking news in Mama Nadri case ni enwie. But who say Anas yentem eba bedi assembly hu commodity chere Ghana for so case ni yedi awie na yedi awie a judge na award $18 million their man folks tio announce the video be a better abonte. Some video no they buy na pet. And when we you see announce me can't Ghana for person will be etiasamase. The entire team of Aremi Anas, they believe in what you call propaganda and spinning. They can spin and spin all around. Now, two, because they've secured access to many of the media houses, including the social media, and they have what it takes. You secure who you today. A buyer no matter to gumbi into other video ne buy no. On my Ghana phone we saw, including Onwani Defense Council, over the weekend. Including last week, Nina, didn't come over other stations say, oh, we may secure judgment Navy. But the lawyer named Timian can't check Ghana for say, no, you secure such judgment. Where is the written judgment? Assembly, there is a written judgment. Where is it? One fair and one man. But when my dear, secret a woman say, a brown movie and a judge, you know, New Jersey one or rule or they. The offense saying offense sample, what do you call it? Jurors, no verdicts in the buy. No. And a Ken Agyapong's defense counsel, sorry, no catch and say, no, you can't. Or judge name catch and say, you can't give a ruling on this case. Why? Because jurors now your mistakes, yes, our mistakes, no, and you're very fundamental and crucial to the ruling. Therefore, in American system, and he consistently look at the judge, no judge, you know, strictly, he said, you can't do this. Asimo kache no afi announce lawyer no sorry ya say oh mistakes no we and a curable no so no and ye curable wa we have to go back and look at the issue again afi na judge ni gira na muni madie ni na ko wie ya announce lawyer no would have to eat a humble pie no be dia to me say yes they should go according to what the judge is saying show no mo be dia tro atre Ghana for say $18 million no monsaka mo be chiches ke mo bi enye biedie wo mo de wo de bebo apesie wo mo ekwakoye tueze afi eja ye be breaki kan Ramadan wo mo be ye tueze afi nem ne ade wo mo nso ebe wo fufuo guso nam da so nem ne ade nem be didie no eranam anadwe wo ho ye secure eniema bi na wonim video na announce mo de betu dwa no wo be hu say Juriors no wo video no now it is offense to the United States justice system they say obey juriors no wo presence in camera no until we have obtained that video but I'm sorry say yentimi yi sa video ni minimum and common no judge no any lawyers ni mienu no edi no we have everything and now some de omo de ne beto na juriors no omo ye the air cancer for which is also another offensive to the justice system in the United States. Random. And somewhere about Anadri, but Anadri exclusive one-on-one with Daniel Cranton, the lawyers, I will studio her. A BNSMP. Now, what was the police if one say? Amachino, he was running in and out, hiding there. But tonight, I'm asking Ghana police. Is Ghana police aware? Say, you ready? Abrante Amachi, he wrote a letter to the police and Ghana requesting what? Requesting police escort. At the time of the investigation, undercover investigation, our pharmacy cancer, Ghana police, are you aware? Have you gone to check your records? So the question is, this is a guy who allegedly you claim say no kumobi anyway, but the same guy has been here several years. The documentary I played a role in that documentary. And 2 documentaries, and why 2 documentaries, Ghanaians, documentary wabe Baku led to what? The arrest of Arabia Feno, Makafui Mukaino. There's a lady called Makafui. Go and Google the lady called Makafui. Makafui Arabia, all ton unregistered drugs, any medicines. Food and drugs for any day and certify. One more arresting Accra more here. I wasn't part of that exercise, but I was monitoring everything. Pharmacy there, Kokoye, I knew everything what was going on. And some of the video no come out multimedia for me. Yes. When my organization, the Hawk Investigation Agency, documentary on Kutu Champon, Joy FM for the year. and then City TV, na me ame private TV, online TV, and it's ye. Yeah. So honestly, we are not the majority for some musu to me. And a pharmacy council for the injunction betoso. But there was a meeting on the pharmacy council for ECO. He wrote a letter to the police, and the police gave him 5 CIDs, five CID officials. This is a guy you've been looking for all this while. And you are telling me, sir, the guy was running away and hiding. Also, Ghana's justice system no, has always not lived up to. Hey, I remember. And now who say any judges any justice system. But then again, it begs the question: has Anas received some judgment to be with Ghana in his favor before? Anna, I remember. He be so. I am biao. What the assembly koye court to her? Eme ye court for no. A judge for no a ruling a will favor. Eme ni esipen. And I been see that. Yet your memo how. And until some former Chief Justice, we say, "Wo muna or how amubekum." Mobekai sa former Chief Justice Georgina Wood. Mame Georgina Wood, a Ghana a judge say nim and allow a nurse, I don't know a nurse. At the mask at shenim, sound concern this nasty stinking stuff. At the shenim, a judge for sabi yedisike training at the for years. Se boni bi mpo no media e se Ghana ye trust me hwe se ayambia nso no wo mo asoso ne ya tentene ne no wo mo behwe na wo mo de atentene na to ye na ya hwe wo kwan bi se sen ene e be punish am no Mame Georgina Wood e hwe din masai suko no ma wei this something called Arimi Yawanas with the mask e be tena judges nenim cover nenim and there were 3 in line and our justices were sitting there as if though our justices were not human. Georgina Wood abreso and I'm reduce our justices to nothing to write home about. Look, it was one of the most saddest days in Ghana because I saw many of our judges, I spoke to many of our judges, me investigating many of them, including Justice Akwente. Justice Akwente, yedene kowa, Anas Aremi Anas, eko bejira ho ka kire ne say Anyo, Justice Akwente Kwaku and intrios. Look, a judge. Look, Mame Georgina Wood, former Chief Justice, and she said our justices were reduced to nothing except to call it a rag to mop the floor in this country. Man, for yeshi, Anas share mask ebetna ho, and ayed your pebia. Just say you gave Aremi Yaw Anas all the rope as if said, none the meeting I can say, no, somebody Ghana man no manage. Some Jimmy a down for this is how you reduce this country to nothing except to give so-called anti-corruption fight to this. Stupidity. I'm so angry when it comes to how you people did this. The last time your friend is saying a former late Professor Mills Ninya Penny be a frame your name dim command. I feel or say so is this all about what we didn't know? NMC opening. We are my uncle. Yes. When we are there, Professor Mills. Oh yeah. Professor Mills got them Ghana Sika. Edi Kwaku Annan Anas or Mufan Konkoye Dieben. At the detriment of what? Our state investigative bodies. Munim said na dia moya no na ye affront to our investigative bodies. By allowing Anas, Anas yes I don't know in his private capacity Bonibienim. No? Bonibienim, but to give state money to announce some investigation in FEMRA. Don't you know that it's an affront to our institutions like the CID, the IOCO, the Serious Fraud Office and all, regardless of whether they are performing or they are not performing? No, it's completely untenable. But this is what Professor Mills did. I didn't think folks, and some of you know when maybe with this boy, this Armchair guy. Now, Shadia, although we didn't see one, now former Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tua Yeboah have sharply reacted to the unsavory comments of Anas Armchair Anas. Let me say with you, Ebra Anas Kikansa Ansemu, former Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, Ababerdin, Waber responded to in 70B, saying, and a papa no can. Take a listen to this.
Then fast forward to the case in the US. I've listened to Councillor because I think as counsel in the case, he's in a better position to give us the updates on the matter. This was sitting here, only read. He was in court live. But my issue has to do with the comparison that unfortunately Anas made. If you watch his video, you realize that he was trying to compare what we have in the US as against Ghana, and even went to the extent of mentioning the names of judges, especially the trial judge, Justice Barr. I think that's quite unfair. If you get to the US, as something you know, they deal with the jury trials or jury system when it comes to civil matters, especially in defamation. In Ghana, it's a single judge. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Council Adikame want to correct me. The jury there, they deal with the facts, but not the law. Trial of facts. But in Ghana, the judge will deal with the facts and the law. And so if in Ghana, you have a judge sitting on a matter to deliver judgment, I mean, you should grant him that right, grant him that kind of thing that he has done as a judge. And if you think that he has done something that is against the law, that's what the law requires. You can also go up on the appellate process. I think I understand he also did the same thing. And so Anas, as a lawyer in Ghana, who is also not only a lawyer, is the lines to practice in Ghana, must also be looking at the words that he's been using post this judgment. In any event, you come back to Ghana as a Ghanaian, maybe go to the courts.
You are saying that somebody who loses a suit in the court cannot criticize the judiciary of Ghana that they have been unfair, they didn't give him justice, or that whatever they did was a travesty. Is that not a criticism almost every loser makes?
Samson, I agree with you. If you file a case in court in Ghana and you lose, and you may want to analyze, critique the judgment, it's fair. But when you go to another jurisdiction on the same matter and then you win, and you begin to then compare, it means that you think that US is far better. US is a system where you can have justice and fairness, but if you come to Ghana, you cannot have justice and fairness. People have gone to court who have also lost, or they've won and still appeal against their judgments. I think it's unfair.
Okay. Simon, Asemia, former Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Tuyebo King. A lawyer for Bebre, Minu Medin Koma, in the coming days, in Sembi BPP. What was that? Anna say, can I say, Miser, Justice Banso or a terrorist? Or terrorist? What is the reason why Justice Banso we a terrorist? Hey, and you mean minimum because they now me say, hey, Justice Banso but Justice Ban a release Anna say a terrorist. One sorry Anna said you Anna say when you Anna nitina ne fa na say no yes no there be. Justice Ban went through the procedure. Now, Samson Ladiayenene, who is a lawyer, ought to know, no? Her question will be, sir, the former Deputy Attorney General said, why Anas in right says or criticize, and therefore his criticism is going to fly on the altar of what? Miscarriage and travesty of justice. No. Anas is a lawyer. And as long as Anas is a lawyer, he should know that Siemu bin Yekasana, any ordinary person, on your lawyer. Then acquire the home. But we a lawyer, Anas is a part. Ono no call media minim ne law school no kan or call na hu nsam so hey Anas law school so hu nsam so so de mokai na tu ye ni na pie e hu nsam so so me kwa megibre because me ka say abranti na na tu no na lawyer for o medru studio had that but e say me mama build up be folks enti wo na wo ye lawyer no e say hu say die na say wo ka kire Justice Ban of course wo betumi akwa appeal. Yes, we are blackmailer, we are extortionist, and that we are terrorist or terrorist. Are you mean who be that? Journalists be any politician be any ruling case. Amana. First in our history, are you a terrorist? One court appeal, not what you did. In the same spirit, Mr. Alfred Tuyebo disclosed that the docket of the suspect in connection to Ahmed Suale's death was brought to the AG's office during their tenure in office. However, the evidence adduced to carry prosecution was weightless. Afi, former Deputy Attorney General Tuyebo, esa betire mu se abrantie ya yede na akotwiri mu sesi ebra na wo no mo abem no MPP wa abem no the same docket eba the former Chief Justice, no, I find saying former Attorney General, no more shame, no. That just said they couldn't see evidence. No, we say emu edu. If he say no can name him say sana. The same docket no call Attorney General Waba Oko, Godfrey Dame, and Afretua Yeboah. But as of the program now on something ladi yen, and no my who say every saying docket in the bomb about more. Neba on the day no more yenti dia no so can take a lesson.
Yes, when we were in office, this docket was presented to our ministry after the police had conducted their investigations. After going through the docket and reviewing same, we realized that there wasn't enough evidence to warrant the prosecution of anyone. And we further directed the police to do further investigation. So I'm happy that today the police are able to do some form of investigations and come out with a suspect who has been placed before the law courts. I'm not suggesting that the police does not have enough evidence today to prosecute someone.
Okay.
But only raise the issue. Do they actually have it? If they have it, I mean, it's something that we are all for. Murders are things that we should not tolerate in our society. I mean, impunity is something that we must all fight against. And so if today the police are able to arrest someone, I'm not saying that gentleman is guilty. I mean, I have to issue that kind of disclaimer.
Innocent until proven guilty, yeah.
Exactly. If they're able to get some evidence and they are prosecuting, I hope and pray that they have enough evidence to prosecute him in court. As Dr. Kennedy said, sometimes you want to put people before court for the fun of it, not in a negative sense, but you'll be exposed when it comes to the actual hearing of the matter. And so it's my expectation that the police, so far as they've arrested him, they should have enough evidence that should warrant the prosecution of that gentleman.
Why do you seem to be doubtful, however small the doubts? Once the police have arrested the person, they have put him in court, and they are proceeding, someone of your stature and the benefits you have had, should you have these doubts?
It's so easy for you to put someone before court, but very difficult to prove a case against an accused person. You know, as a former prosecutor, I know that the standard required of you is to prove the guilt of an accused person beyond reasonable doubt. And so if you're not very sure, when it comes to murder, committal proceedings, I mean, at district magistrate court, you can be going there, but after the committal proceedings, that's where the game starts at the high court. So I'm just waiting. That's what I'm saying. I'm just praying that they can do the committal proceedings well. The accused person or the accused person committed to stand right in the high court, then we'll look at the bill of indictment. If they have enough evidence, I mean, we should all support the police and the Attorney General's office to prosecute this gentleman.
Say no, Kano. Come on. One thing is, I feel O2 police for no for say. Police for no man what you call armchair investigations. I see anything, listen to him.
I mean, I'm 7 out of 10, but the investigators must not do armchair investigation. That appears to be our challenge. You have quite a lot of investigators in this country who only go to the police, the police CID office, or whether it's NIB, whether it's Social Security or Yoko, and they take only statements of suspects or accused, but they're doing further investigations. When they come to court, it's about what they took from the accused person. So in case like this, I expect that the police should not rest for now. They must come further. For you may know, there will be other people behind this dastardly act. And so if they are prosecuting, I commend them for initiating it, but they must not rest. And they must not be doing armchair investigations in this particular matter. They must go to the field.
You have not known them, you work with them, you have not known them to do armchair investigations, right?
Sometimes. It's not all the time. I mean, in private practice, at the time that we're in private practice, some of us were challenging them on how they've been conducting investigations. But you may have instances where you expect the investigators to go to the field, do further work. Perhaps in this particular matter, they've done a lot of investigations. I remember that in the course of reviewing the case, we were told that was it the phone or something had been sent to the FBI in the US on that further investigations. And so maybe they've gotten something much from that investigation. They must collaborate with other sister agencies within and without and come to a conclusion where all Ghanaians should be happy to find the killers of Suale.
Right. And it is possible that the collaboration you are talking about is going on, right?
It's very possible, since I'm out of it, because at the time that we were there, we were told that they had sent some phones to the US FBI.
Right.
So I expect that they are doing other things. Yes.
Right.
Good. Well, Alfred Tuayeboa indeed questioned the twists and turns of the police investigation over the whereabouts of the suspect Daniel Owusu Cranton, especially when the police had earlier established that the suspect Daniel Owusu Cranton had been traveling in and out of the country. Now, Alfred Tuayeboa san ya debia na so ye ni kampa se afi yenhwe se police fo amayate se oh abrante na omo hwehwe ne kra ye hu no na emu eno anso otutu kwan na okọ na oba omu hu bebi ode afa ne ade. But former deputy attorney general ebe kan se mi ho eno so eto asum papa na yentie sa asem. Take a listen to this.
First question. From the facts, the accused person fled to the UK and later came back to Ghana. So how come that when he got to the airport in Accra, if he can definitely come to Kotoka International Airport or any other border post, they could not identify him and then got him arrested? That's a key question. Because if you know that a murderer, suspected murderer has traveled out, definitely he should be his record should be on a stop list. So any airport that he gets to, he'll be able to be tracked. I've listened to the lawyer for the accused person. He says otherwise. So that's the first point. Then if you look at the court records, here let me commend the police for doing that painstaking investigations. Because if indeed he was close to his house, he fled the scene to where he lives at Amasaman. I mean, circumstantially, you may want to construct a case of his possible culpability in the murder of Suale. But facts are different from evidence. Sometimes you know instance where you go to court and the facts will be given, but when it comes to the evidence, the prosecution will be found wanting.
Especially for us defense lawyers, we are always excited.
Yeah, exactly. Because now I'm a defense counsel. I'm no longer a prosecutor.
Yeah, and so I like the place you sit now.
Exactly. And so if you give these facts, it's the expectation of the prosecution.
Okay.
That evidence to back the facts that you have given. And if all these things are to be connected and they are indeed true, then it means that the suspect will have some case to answer.
Someone, as someone Alfred Tuayeboa bekan e danu kwemu pepe on ka bi nhemu yi bi firi mu sei ene wiase yetena no na won se na a police for ne say na Ghana for munim say ora Ken Agyapong police for na den ene na di nkomo wie dida. Now my question is when many Kennedy di nkomo wie no again na Ghana police for establish here on can omutimi establish say yes Kennedy you are culpable. Me person police for your homework here. Has the police said to Ghanaians say you interview Kennedy wie no Kennedy was culpable? At least Kennedy gave his side of his version, and his version of the police for him obviously could not, cannot, and may not give the police more credence to the fact he said he's responsible for the murder of Ahmed. No. So why then it becomes this time relevant to say obi the picture command one, then that picture near the command that rather led to the murder of Ahmed. Eto asumani ye. It was Sabrantie Aya Owusu Cranton afi police almost or kwa up and down here. I didn't man fananto mo wanted list so. But would that assertion even support their claim? Wait a minute. Tonight, I want to expose the Ghana police to this. That against the backdrop of this, that the police wanting to establish the disappearance of Daniel Owusu Cranton said Daniel Owusu Cranton was nowhere to be seen, and that their intelligence led to his hideout. I really want to be decent on the police, please. But on the hand side, what you don't know is what you are spewing out there. The ignoramuses on the part of the police is what we are seeing, that the guy was at his hideout. Where is his hideout? Now let me give you some facts. In 2023, Daniel Owusu Cranton contacted the head of Multimedia Group concerning the OTC medicine seller license documentary. Ghana for me aware. Say a branch and contacting multimedia for. At the end, I know or person it was about the documentary and why on. Do you know how many days, weeks, months, years or years are documentary? Now listen. In 2024, you're free 2023. Now 2024, Daniel Owusu Cranton, in collaboration with Pharmacy Council and police, Ghana Police, IGP, with respect. Makachro myself, so 1 year careful. And if baby you use our small case, we be a good IGP anymore. Poto. In 2024, Daniel Owusu, you're free 2023, now 2024, Daniel Owusu Cranton, right, in collaboration with Pharmacy Council and police, conducted a raid at the Porals Pitch 2024 to arrest people selling unregistered FDA products, aided the arrest of Fela McAfee for what? False advertisement and selling unregistered products. How many of you know this arrest? The arrest of wine, Fela McAfee. Afimin kasa obianko Google. The arrest of wine, Fela McAfee. Quite ben sini fast ye cheno. E abranti na modern atumi. Yes, Daniel Owusu Cranton. Investigations. And a leader investigations where he did it in collaboration with Wynham, Pharmacy Council, FDA, and the police. So why didn't you arrest him there? My dear Ghana police, may say go and do this exercise and come and tell the world, say whether you have the records. You see, my main contempt. Again, at a point, Daniel Owusu Cranton was to report to the Pharmacy Council over the documentary na obey. He requested for police escort and about 5 CID operatives accompany him to the Pharmacy Council. Now so Koshia Pharmacy Council board. And in the quest to go, he wrote a letter. I want the police to do their exercise well. My job is to prove to the police that you are, just as I'm trying to quote Professor Alfred Tueyebo said, "Manye care from mobile Armchair General, Armchair investigations." He wrote a letter to the police, and the police gave him what? 5 escorts. Why? Why didn't you arrest him there also? In 2023, in 2024, no more year. Where was the what was the police doing? Now me be video be achiremo. Ebra CID for no escort na ede na come makọ form car omokotu car no okọ. I can only show you Daniel Cranton. Me yin enimu nchiro. I can only show you his back. He's also an undercover agent. And I'm work on. I can only show you his back. And may train say Ghana police let her know a Cranton sure they come out police no. Mon kwahwehwe the police archives na mo hwe munya copy a. Munya me de mo copy ne beba. Me de me de ne beba. Na ma tre mu dates and time he wrote the letter to police, and the police for more granted no this. I didn't hear your I didn't hear Sisi, ye tears ye nyoma ensem fata. Me ade me tia o me wias me pensis yo. If you dey so na me be catch am say look, obi o man na say bibia me ni nya asem pen, but not because me ni nya asem ti na me besis me tia say di asem bon. No, me Kwaku I'm very fair. If you are be catch am say President John Dramani Mahama o embrace asofobiti say when Niger Gezi anyway. Any the other one more friends for Odin Brampo, Prophet Emmanuel Bedukobi, Mante, Obiso on TV that. What we say before Bonia say must say Bonnie Niano on it to Bonimu, the here say they be an Indian console him. We assess be fair and be just where God created us all of us equal. The now tonight. The Frontline has again intercepted an audio recording revealing the defense counsel for Ken Agyapong mounted a spirited pushback at the trial judge concerning some mistakes committed by the jurors. And the jurors, because Omodoson, and that's the plural word, the jurors. And the case in the JC court in the United States. And me pese wutie, and na me din kan ka kire on said, Anas are emiyaw anas ode maxi. Wedi ka ba bontia ba me yeti ase se. Anyo wedi nkunim. Nigeria so no aye den ama ne judgment. Na no na make catch assassin say no. Wait a minute, don't get it twisted. for them, they believe in twists and turns and propaganda and spinning. But the truth of the matter is that a black judge ni ruling jurors ni a verdict ni we pay. And a Kennedy lawyer no a catcher judge no you can't or catching it straight so you can't give a ruling because mistakes be a cause. And some mistakes ni na ne koko we say as a say some comments trial.
It's curable, at least I think, but I leave it to your judgment, Your Honor.
Okay, the court's decision is we are going to bring a jury in, we'll discharge the jury, and then we keep talking.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
What's he? Maminye say na here. Did you see? Did you hear? What is the judge? What's it? Asma judge in the kind. Nyame na me kasa. Ubia nkasem. Anasa nkasem ubi. Kennedy Kwame Akumpre kon ankasem ubi. Obia nkase. Ghana ni bia nkase bi. Anasa nkase bi o. An announced defense counsel. Any Kennedy Kwame Akumpre ko Japan counsel. Any judge no mudra ho dia sie ni. Na what is the Kennedy Japan counsel na catch the judge no. Also what? You cannot move this verdict. You cannot move this or kasa tire judge no. He we ni break kwan so. It's about the saying and na mo be gina Ghana ha. E catch Ghana for say hey when your verdict and that $18 million. Ye be chase came obi enya bi edi. Ye be che $18 million. Obia enya bi edi. Obia benya bi edie. Ye de bi be wo fufuo di bia wo aye tuoza afi ade na ne kire ye ba be break fasting. Di bia wo tuoza afi di bia bo apesi fufuo nom ne ade ye gugugu so nom ne edidi ne anom. Why not? But asem na ntesa, it ade na mu be twa ntro. You know what? Anna's defense counsel, me Papa na sempa, he speaks so well, very constructive, very very good. Oh, you're very nice man. Me penasem, the lawyer, yeah. Me min kasentiano. Oh yeah, but I think say, Sadia, oh yeah, too fast enough. No be spinning around. Says no. When Nini Caribbean church says judgment, suppose judgment, written judgment, ewa well, folks, the lawyers for a year, friend is saying, Abrante didn't aquatrium. Daniel Owusu Cranton, also known as Amache, Womo Studio, they will join me shortly. But before, my young Kwaku Annan, director of research of this program, also an on person may expose it, BB. Our Humana so nearly name one year said. Adia na so koye ayetia ye justice system no saying so far your research analysis ayaye no ye ne lawyers bebre akasa nim ne ade ye de betu bia nche how so far the build up no it is saying and not Kofi Ejiri is on the line. Kofi memwajo na what is saying okay me hane de Mahama ne Professor Jena no Opoku Agyeman ye pem so a Good. All right. Now, Kofi, and somebody I say wait but most especially only a show Wednesdays will be basso. Now, and then we want you to stay on so far the research away on the ground with respect to Anas taking our justice system to the cleanest. What have you uncovered so far?
So far, no. When it comes to the judicial service now, a lot of practitioners are not happy. Legal grades, they are not happy with the system. Once in the judicial, at what point in time, now, so who there, or yeah, judicial service, no, would be sometimes on your face.
Yeah.
Was it the time now? For come on and continue. You know who there, on your face.
And Grofona come out there in Ponche. That's right.
Good part all man so bye that's why it was easy and you all sorry. Was it that time in period? You know who the 1 year I sometimes on your face. Another the time now on your Christian to no home. Another the time of the service. At what point in time? That's one question. Again, the same system of condemning for the person that made me a lawyer. So at the end, question BBC and also on the ground in the day. You know, and now over Ghana having a court case. A very sporty case now for America, and I will be to Ghana. Because service is one year, sometimes plus I do. If you say a case, these are kind of questions you know, on the ground. And then all lawyers who want to win but kind of question one question and you didn't want to know. And the man now why you know Yada, every day, will be Ghana, then cost us in movie. You will be caught in movie. But to that, you my own idea. But take me down one and to say, these are service.
Kofi Utimenka, there's some noise or background in it. Terrible noise be. Yeah, we're getting a feedback. Nti shena yenhwe. Okay, to asuma me na menhwe ade. Kofi Utimenka.
Hello,
Yes. All right. So to asuma yanko.
Now, me say per the research kakra ye no. And I said into what them come fancy and then na mo flow pa. Research kakra ye na interviews kakra ye no. Some of the legal, you know, brains and you want to say no one put on any baba camera. And also they didn't want audio na say. No moment was off record info going yanka we can still give it out. If you are working there, no problem at what point in time. And at last, I remember you and us on there. Would do sometimes, Ghanaian court system, no. One shut down your face. What is the period that no champions, you know? Another time when you question the court, no. You know more when the would you be court system, no. One your face. Another time, work at a terrorist, no. And when the sana one your face. The same system now, so no, according to some of them, made him a lawyer. The same system now all condemning. It's at the end, you know, one guy did this question there. It is a nice case for Ghana. But about Ghanaian court are all condemning. Another was there where's 40 case for America. That's one question that it say. Now, me face soon. I also make a very important point today. In that case, now, last point here by there. Court system, no, it has not always been, you know, it has not always been fair, no. It will mean that the case is not Ankasa will deal with it, no. From the time I know by an answer based in there, no. We still walk back, watch the Nimialim one by one, because this and answer bring out a very, very important point. The court system, no, would be there on Sada and Yafe to the extent that they even failed to deliver judgment on his case. Man, then son come on us, into in that case, no, they are planning there. I mean, they will push that agenda. Every case now, and announce Lankasano. Why, you know? Because of the concern, they have to go back to it. Because a lot of people have lost their lives, their businesses, and other, you know, things. It's you bringing this concern.
Yes.
These are some of the things that we've been persuaded. So, some of the things that are there in
Okay, yeah, Kofi. And since I'm not just yeah, sorry, me break it. Now, so far, what then we are getting from Anasa Obi Beka, so maybe a little pain, just as it was court in the assembly year man in tea. You say, or yeah, terrorist. Now, terrorists, they what who abakwa some or memo has a journalist, politician, businessman, a man of God, any you really say, just say, would you therefore suggest, because that ruling from Justice Bano was quite harsh, and that could infuriate Armchair out to say, I knew, because you say, or a terrorist or terrorist, whichever way you call it, and Emma okay can say.
You see, that could be a key factor, I know, but bear in mind today. And I'm not seeing Ankasado. We see a China Kolo Papa. The Ghana Ghana football Kwaku Annan, no, yes, more. Unfortunately, the way yet to we are seen, especially in this country of ours called Ghana, no.
Yeah.
Me impeding nenye beni odunhu. Na manasha ote because I'm pay reading. Eko Facebook and other social media platforms. You put no headline and I start to insult. Even program here, just go beneath. Ebekono na insult be or just headline our piece of view of one word be financial. Onya the jido boko into detail. But one thing people must understand that them enyama nas di yanko for 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 no. Them ko for no. How did they feel?
How did they feel?
Will be KJ baby friend nas kwampo there or this or that. And I will be KJ baby there because of my nasi into them judge or evil and them judge or today or to them. I'll call judge anything. But in this case, and that's no too much for Pena, Kwama Kakato, about justice binding. Do you know what you've done to him? Oh, sometimes when it comes to matters relating to an answer, it be no me again there, so saying so I do not need the same Saint Anas. Because maintain maybe I say when it comes to this country, no, when you would be like you people are one the day no attack. I think even when you are presenting evidence, go to program and say, comment section, we say bring the fact. Fact is very good as you should. So by our nature, no, the way we think and the way we are brought up, no, oh my name may do away or Ghana ha or but there's a band. It for that word now, what the man now know why and yo, oh my name do. Emma, waka kade, young judicial service no, or today no. For me no, Osadan Ankasa, put to issue statement, not to me, because what I would have expected him to say that case nam di fi Ghana Hamdo Kweno. It was not deliberate friend the Ghanaian court system. No, far from that. I respect them. But what really happened there? Kennedy na minya asamno. Eho no kaka asamno. That is why anam do mamoko. It was not because the mumbu yan court system mubu court na pa. Nemum baby okeja okaka no say moko am kaka mo ba ye chinebi. Kennedy in family conquer England and on another state be and a country be. Na so son kaka nsem bi dem ho. Nti moko na so we stop no ha. At least no but when that's what to kono akasa and what kibibia from one sebio oseroiden original. This is how he was supposed to have presented it. Abaton if you need that she win him as a white so be a movie series. Never drive back there. Ghanaian court system no on your papa sometimes no I cannot papa you coaching as well. Do the baby one shut down here fair. At one point in time I want to say window on your fair. What point in time? So these are the things that I believe we should be looking at.
Great, but then quickly before you go, would you again also raise some fundamental aspects of say Anas Kriya so den Sembia ko our justices ninim MNC ruling man, including say your former Chief Justice Theodore Wood enim and try or ye nyomo we na e wo memo obi ankasa o e ma judge for enkrofo papanam enkrofo kunom enem ne ade ye ma na ase kwan e ma ye do be na na no so where was then the justice system, the Ghana General Legal Council there will be in raise a word nobody cough a breath or cough anything and no so that kind of saying what do you make of that?
So there I reckon there perception you want thing
good
Ghana krona ye woman I don't ma Ghana ha both parties I was seducing some people and this wotum what for Ghana domu what do you want to pay bianye because anye no ye nkwofu bia ye peye na menhwe ne yembonsin eye na mehwa ne menwaji memehu na mamatno. But you don't believe in going beyond the evidence sometimes to try to understand certain things. To a long run, every no, not innocent person do baby no. When you be an man, not nasty baby. Now these judges here and asked do one cover all this situation in me. Obiano waka one word did a judge be. Most of Ketifi, most of your stroke in your stroke. But a long run, tell American the legal counsel no. And you may be a while. Now Usudan can kaway and wobogu. And this thing, just as you said, started with President Mills the time. How dare a whole commander in chief, a whole security team never work for private investigator and undercover guy there, uncle no co-investigate Nkofo. What do you think you are doing to your own security team? It's at that point now can they feel do a big.
I see.
It's one question Nkofo will be said na na so question of this powerful.
Oh, you think that we made him so powerful to some extent?
Oh yes. We did it. And especially by that era, that administration. And I remember the Ramonacha Crown at one point in time questioned that in the why do we say the way then what sponsor said that? Because we can't do that. We have a security, we have security team. It's a parade Adibiana, Ghana, Hayawa, Biano, Papa, and if you got to create a man, so people were Ghana, Hadia, Papa. The idea of employing his services against the military intelligence, the NIB or BNI, the CID, SF, all these intelligence agencies in Yano. We for private person meant that Wayankofa and Jumundi. And interestingly, who did an investigate at the time? Customs, another security agency. So from that point, Aquano one, or better powerful word, most next time, I mean, like masking and or any motum do commerce one are they. MPP time, who for the time, but shall mask the same thing, but the Katsna or friended, Nana do name. How? Oh, do baby call about court, and now I didn't Trinity, God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Wait, then whom will be a or an ass Nagasa.
And this kind of jokes were entertained by the state's apparatus, including the commander-in-chief of the security service.
Now, I want to crown commander-in-chief in crown. Everybody doing too much. How about the chief justice at the time? How about the judicial service themselves?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even brown. How? They have a catch them there. You put this into me Trinity. What done young coupon? God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. No Abba. No, everybody beating in the and a document saying this or say, no,
fanciful. Kofi, I feel me move for want of time into but quickly, the guy Amachi now incarceration. You know Amachi well. As a security expert, what do you make of CCIA didn't treat me? And then the evidence police are due suggests that okay. Or the picture come out, Kennedy, and I feel so Yehunwe area, he fled. So fled, the word fled means to say no mouse or I don't know. And then to his place of abode in Amazon. So far, what have you gathered behind all of that of what the police is, putting across? Does that build enough Premier Fashi?
Excellent question. And I'm so glad this question has come up. Let's look at this whole thing. Fair now, police is evidence or your friend I think chats be he can be placed at the scene or at the vicinity at the time of the crime. Fair enough. Again, we believe you today, and it's not the purchase but the mark can. Fair enough. Question a day. The hit no called Madina woman union female.
Good.
It was not a one-man job. From witnesses, it was more than one, either 2 or 3. Them no kept all way them hit as watching one. We to market day. It's true. At that time, not a match, no waha, no jinaha. What should be my madam confession now?
Okay.
No. When to be again. Them ain't look at the pictures now. I'm actually at the mark. Pictures no say yesterday you got pictures anymore. Before I'm about to do as to whether I true that the man and one farmer no. Yeah, let's look at the pictures idea.
Okay.
Second day, pictures not be TV doing tea in the Wukwa bench here now. Again, watch the suspect to be in the work there. Oh, are you true there? Pictures now. I match the mum. And not what the man can, and I cancel the mum. And Mr. Officer Chem that Amache was the one of the man.
Okay.
And you see, Muslim do could do the
chronicle
like that.
Yes, the chronicle. Okay.
Okay. Now, when you tell me again there, all evidence now another chat will place the guy at the crime scene now. Majatum fair enough. But can you place a gun in the guy's hand at the scene with the same evidence?
So if you can all these answers in here, no. Mean say again, what could be undercover guy? Undercover does what mean to cover your face. Kwaku Annan way. This is what you used to do. You put the senino you winning at about out. I want to hear
yeah.
Ghana, I want to say.
Anas no DPA or the meaning Pia.
Yes. And the time no Ghana will be a Kwaku. I want now. No one knew. No behind you knew Kwaku.
And people don't know this. People don't know this history. Yes.
Yes. What winning back out? We should do an Okuma.
No.
It's happened to catch them there. What will be the picture about out because of that. The sister young show Biala. I'm a impeding brain now on because even so big but out back there, okay, may confess that or true. The I'm matching or some of them that confession will say there. One or you'll be our force and our bribe no madam confess. We have to even authenticate that thing. We have to look at it. We are talking about murder case here. So there are so many variables as far as this thing is concerned now. How I arrive at much also and I mean who evidence over to my cast because I can okay because of the chat at the time now I didn't see no or area where I know my been asked more can they be a human or as I say do be a bush. No I live banana you 50 we soon him all about about you about him. I don't about you now. Why can't you know if you wish to about what you do? I've been to that bank company no deal or tram no honor Alabama. I need a joke I work. Now, Paddy, I say when the evidence can place him at the scene. What makes you think that at the time maybe I don't care any BB or in this okay any BB because of say you do book into the matter come on or a prophet who do book of you or one.
Good.
And now can they also get us conversation or there between Ahmed and Paddy? Did you call doing one thing? Or there Paddy or like what catching doing a Paddy or Bokun? No evidence be Adam, but police into maybe
good one.
And the meaning there so back there a picture so the camera can mean how I established the Madino.
Okay.
But the dumb division.
Good. Very well, good delivery. Kofi, you do be serious because the build up now here. Now,
all right.
You be jam work because there's still other things we are away na minya na konafi. Yen twas was studio said then we touch base. Great now. Enoch Kofi Ejiri, of course, is the director research of this program. Now let me correct something quickly. In the beginning, I kept mentioning lawyer, but onye the lawyer for Armchair or the spokesperson, Pacho. Unim no. Tidia memekano say I had here or a spokesperson, okay? Or the spokesperson for the man in incarceration. And see Yanene Babedin Komo and Mami Moniting Emma Joan Markin. Me bonus any okay one.
There be Patrick Emma Jean Markin.
Emma
Jean Markin.
What's it? I say Emma Jean Markin. What's a marking now? Then again, you're beginning to hazard a guess somehow. Folks, Madam Markin, what's the name?
Mehoye.
Good.
Now, swear.
Mr. Mehoye Pa. Good. Now, yen to me say, Armchair, one hour here, Nekasa man for any Obusiani na way of spokesperson, right?
Patron.
Good. Sabri or a police for them.
Patron.
Yes. Now, my tougher crab, but the tougher man. The copy who now so far Magada could lead this or police for instance. Now and your man say free Muhoban switch say the general swimmer police from the Nakoshim and Yene Cressa. Take us through some of them.
Bet me I can brofu.
What kind of brofu training now?
Yeah, okay. Me mix it.
Yes.
I was a year 15th March.
Yeah.
Me were one of friends say police action. And I'm besides.
Well, that's just about a week ago.
Exactly. That was last week Saturday.
Oh, okay.
And I'm besides. Why have I've been to watch? Then he said because they say I have a hand in Ahmed Suale's murder. Oh, no me bohu.
Oh, okay.
Now me say okay. Mereba, unknown can mereba. Timekwe, we interrogation kakra. I mean, about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Yeah, no so. Were detaining. No was no kushim. Monday, of course, as usual, if you're not ready to process him for court, you expect the grant in the bail. It's you do Monday no interrogation as in we're granting a bail. You drew outside neighborhood curiously no about an hour in before we came out. Multimedia article be exactly. Okay. One published article calling the man a fugitive of justice, calling him key suspect in the murder of Ahmed Suale. I mean, so many things. And I said, what is going on in this country? We are in the process of assisting the police. Yeah. Even though you may be a suspect at the time, your job at this time is to assist the police. Yeah. So why would this article come out? And why would anybody say that he was a fugitive of the law? Because we all know he's been walking around here. So what is going on here? The following day was him presenting. Now when you more interrogation. Of course, after the article, it went viral. And he said to me, "Oh, Emma, now I'm known as a murderer." Oh. And I felt very bad. So we came and presented ourselves to the police the following day. We were in the process of interrogation when we were told that the IGP was calling us. We went after the brief meeting. We were told that he was being detained and was supposed to be arraigned before court the following day. I see. Which was a shock because it just was strange to me. So that is what has brought us here. We went before the court and he was remanded. I see. Till 1st April. I see. And today is 1st April, the Messiah court judge in India. That's right. I see. Now, I feel in a question say, wabe documentary binimni all in the previous, because then the police is also asserting so now or fly in and out, not just no stable. But then again, what we also learning is say, what be documentary be near even together with the police near them. So then what it means that he's come to stay here or he's been in town all this while. Can you confirm that? He lives here. He lives here. He's always in and out of my office, in and out of his lawyers' offices. He's in and out of everywhere. So we were surprised. How is this man a fugitive? Last year, Poriel's pitch, he did it with Ghana Pharmacy Council, the FDA, the police themselves. And then they coach McCaffrey, no. There be a good park, no. Dorsey Boating. Oh, okay. Mitch Brothers are a massive raid, no. That's right. Yes, and before that, no, Fela McCaffrey, she was also apprehended. Before that, I mean, so many things. Licenses for sale. Yeah. Tramadol documentary. All these things have been going on. Tramadol documentary. You know, there were two. Yeah. One was before, was in 2019. I think the other one was the following year. So I was surprised. Yeah. I was surprised. And when I listened to Etua Yeboah, he said a docket was presented. And he looked at it and realized that there was not enough evidence to proceed. So he said, go and do further investigations. So at which point did this man become a fugitive of justice or a fugitive of the law? At which point did it... and you see, it's baffling. It's baffling. During the era of MPP, no, what more the Assembly Command, Attorney General, and so on. Nobody. I mean, we've never heard. This is the first time we were hearing it from him. I see. Now, looking at all the issues so far now, Abano, Sir Mosha, do you munya atinkebi essence say? Either say the former boss or any year is trying to cover up something by way of say, or no ma adena beyetis or no modeshi and or share adenechi no atechi, all of that. Munya atinkebisa, do you say something? Mano, I don't deal with suspicions. Okay. But what I can say is that it's the narrative that was given to that multimedia released into the public. It was very similar to the charge sheets. So who was releasing that thing on Monday?
Yeah.
Who wants to push that narrative when nothing like that has happened? You understand? So it's curious. Everybody will be wondering what's happening. This man is here. When did he become a fugitive? Why is the narrative the same between the charge sheet and the article that multimedia released? Then it's a bit worrying. It's a bit worrying.
There's also another information here, and also is here that Ahmed Suale was killed on the 16th of January, right? 2019. At the time, not only Ahmed intended to say before Ahmed be on the 16th. What is it that Namunim said? Not only Ahmed intended to say.
No, you're fine.
Do you also know, say, Omumi no mu more friend is saying the Thai guy, and then at a point, ono Modesha no akwesina or resign if you ho, and Ahmed no so if you then this are feud in the by if you recall.
Well, according to Daniel, what happened was he was not happy with his treatment, and then he left. He left. He was not concerned about anything that happened there. He just wanted to build his life again.
Okay.
But anything that went wrong in the Tiger Eye, he was always accused of it. Later on, we see in text messages that Ahmed was telling him, "I have resigned."
I see.
So Ahmed was also saying he was unhappy because he felt unappreciated, and some people will have the guts to talk to him anyhow.
Yeah.
So the two of them at some points had all left. And he also went further and said, if he were to talk, the whole Ghana will shake.
That's Ahmed,
Yes, and the other one is also accused of releasing information. So to me, I'm looking at information.
I see.
But it could be information from anywhere. I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody.
Yeah. Now, Yenshad, my main kind of do is in October 2024, Daniel wrote a petition to the Director General CID, which was delivered personally, and he made a second visit to the department.
Yes.
So we not police for what's our record winner. Where then again the police will come back and lay another charge of say murder was the case. Try to correspond. Make a correspondence.
Because if the person is in your corridors making applications, asking for investigators, how can he be a fugitive of justice? How? And at which point did he become a fugitive of justice? They need to clear out a lot of things. Because if you are saying you took phones for forensic, FBI, it means you are doing a lot of detailed work. So if you are doing detailed work, you cannot come out and say that this man was a fugitive of the law when he's in plain sight for all of us to see. You can see him in the video doing his swaggish moves.
Yeah. This is over confirmation on Osha Black now. I see. Good. He's marking some swag there. Good one. Now, I say we bass and the son of family, I mean the entire family, ne papa, and then Nebusian and all of that. How are they taking it?
Everybody is heartbroken. Everybody is wondering how this happened. Everybody is surprised. Some people are in a rage. They want to do so many things. And I said, let's just calm down and then take things as they come.
We are aware, say, in 2022, the same Amache, also known as Daniel Kwantini, wrote to the vice president at the time about this sale of the counter OTC medicine seller license. Or show the command vice president about this to bring the vice president's attention to this, and he got a response. We are aware of that.
We are aware. We were copies now.
Okay. Would you support the police with all of this? We say, including writing a letter to the second gentleman of the land, and then if he's then somebody responsible for murder, how would such a person take such a move?
To me, I don't think Well, my impression is that they were not looking for help from us.
Oh, okay.
That is my impression, because it was a narrative. Hey, have you been to Medina? You live in Medina? Do you know the family? Do you know? It's like a pushing a certain story.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was really asking us, opening up the information for you to even be saying, okay, well, this is like this, or this is like this. Maybe you should look like this. I mean, we were ever ready to help with whatever information. And you know what is curious?
Mm-hmm.
He was actually talking with I think one officer from the cold case unit in the past.
Yeah.
Giving information, they will ask him questions, he will give answers. So I'm surprised that there's a narrative that he's a fugitive.
I see. So then that brings me to Adewe's Ghana for Enim. Say, in April 2019, Daniel Cranton released his first documentary, which he had been working on since 2019, concerning the wrongful use of tramadol, which was also being aired on ETV GH, GBC 24, and Sparkle TV. Still in 2019, he was set to release the part 2 of the tramadol documentary. However, then to make a travel to his wife in UK, and then came back where the COVID-19 hit him. Can you confirm this? Or yes, or take his assignment away?
I
see.
There's evidence all over the internet. Evidence.
And can the police ask for, and then that would again build much for the police? The guy is not a fugitive as they're
The
trying
police
to
doesn't need to ask for this. It is in plain sight. All you have to do is just go online, put his name, you see it, everything. So I'm just surprised at this whole thing.
What will be the new thing? Ebusian for no mobile boama lawyer for no. Etimia building up. Then the friends that are coming 1st of April now mobile court on ebetimia convince judge. Say judge, we say. Quite apart from the media putting all the things out. Then Ebusian for some more diabo lawyers.
And I say, we are putting all our efforts together. Some of us are investigating. Some of us are piecing evidence together. Some of us, it's everywhere. Everybody, not just in Ghana, is rallying behind Daniel.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Good. Folks, we've been speaking to Madam Makin, Emma Makin. Now, ononomwe oye kasama for the ma ebusuya. Brante ya. Daniel Cranton, also known as Samachi, says here, war police for Ekukumi or Casaramon. Of course, once in some can be zips and Sempia, Nina and all shame one that say, a minimum be brace who go maintained that. And Tinata so moon here, Busiana Crano, some bim, assuming say Busiana bim on bear by us a cranoa, and Yaman Iguabontained that. So then, a Branton Rebecca says, so a fence a fugitive was a flight risk or whatever, no more can. Nina into me akrisa. Now, Emma, afi ye be wrap up na when you kwan akono. Dean na opese the two homa Ghana for the President John Mahama is listening. Everybody is watching him near there. What do you want to tell the state parastatals?
What I want to say is that it is important for every citizen of Ghana to have a fair hearing, no matter what, no matter how grievous the charge is. Everybody, every citizen deserves a fair hearing. And also, we should be looking at motive.
Yeah.
Why does anybody want this man gone? We should all be looking, and in time, we'll be able to piece everything together. But Daniel doesn't have anything against Ahmed. They were friends, and so he doesn't have any motive to want the man dead.
Munya at a point be saying to Kobe slight feud because between the three of them are Nas and then Ahmed. Bibisa APA prior to Sobe resign Efrono. And then there was also audio recording the APA. Suppose that me baby mama no so I Tiger Eye Honma Wabana or can say what is audio?
I'm Bachomati.
What do you make of audio?
I mean, it's 100%. It was clear that she was the one speaking and he was the one speaking. And she's saying exactly what has gone on behind his back. So, I mean, everybody should really open their eyes. This man was crying out in 2019, asking for help. Nobody did anything about it. Now, 5 to 6 years down the line, he's now paying for it.
5, 6 years now?
Yes, it's 2019 to 2025. It's about
quite significant. So then all of a sudden police wake up and says, 1 hour here, the fencing prime suspect now.
Exactly.
Folks, mene mami ma besi ha say na ya hwe. Ahombo ben na sisi amwo mpa. So for with the hope say obetimi pia bonten.
Of course.
Video hosa.
Of course. And so to me pia na this charges CD. It's strange. It's strange. I mean, I'm sure any legal mind looking at what is in front of us in the charge sheet, is that enough to charge someone with such a capital offense as murder? Is that enough? And now that the narrative is out, this man will never be the same again. He will never be the same again. So we have to be very measured in the way we do our things.
God, folks, would it be back home? And I'm sure said,
Patromiri.
Where you are, God one, Ebusiam, Yane, Mami Emma, any day in common. I'm sure so one person you can make all the deductions, add 1 to 1. The way we say, Mami Asama all came. Nina Ghana police for person who ne kreno na so who ne kreno by now. Now I again believe that if the police hierarchy and so person mo contact Mami Emma, you bet me assist on my contact and for any other information there we meet me they are supporting police from what they are supporting police from because and your man ya tete so far and all of that we share bibia police we so justice say oh now to read him no far quiet no far here any other ni nara no and shada anything in 3 years folks yami aduma Wednesday I'll come your way now Wednesday no Wednesday eba be yadi I won't tell you the eba be Wednesday eba be yadi bi adibia me ye no Monday no eba be twaso Wednesday na afia domwesu ko more expose eba. But then, main conclude na main country mo say, ayo Ken Agyapong side honso ye monitor ni oma papa. And she say the spirited pushback na the lawyers and the abeto on just a case in a become extra and then a ben some fufrupi. Friends Daniel Owusu Cranton so nyame adoma ye monitor grants and hoping say 1st of April and it's a be monitor the course so a be course to a courtroom. Then, no, yet in your ababe, abeto to folks.